Namaste, kind yogis. I am Melissa, and I will be guiding you through a few traditional poses today. So many times we're in classes and we're not quite sure how we're supposed to be in a pose and how it should really feel to ourselves. So I thought we would take a quick practice just to go through some of the main points of our Warrior 1, our Warrior 3, our pyramid pose, and our eagle, so that we can kind of start to look at the alignment and see how it feels in our body. Maybe go from a little less worry to a little more warrior. We'll just begin with a gentle warm-up. If you would, come to an easy seat, whatever that means to you. Join your hands in prayer right at your heart and just gently tuck your chin towards your chest. And we just want to start practice with the intention of letting it be. And letting it be is really open-ended. And it is so that as we search for our alignment on the mat, we aren't looking for the ideal for everyone. We're letting the ideal be for us. We have injuries, we have years of residues built up in our body. And we'll let them be as they are today. We won't force them. We won't try and make ourselves be somewhere we're not ready to be. So as you inhale, think, let it be. And as you exhale, exhale into that acceptance. Let it be. Taking a big inhale, fill your body, top to bottom, right to left, front to back. And then gentle exhale out the mouth. Draw the eyes open, and we'll come to an all fours position table. So just setting up, hands under shoulders, knees under hips, moving through that very common cat-cow breath. Let the movement start from the tailbone. Plant the pinky toes down on the mat. Inhale as you lift the tailbone, drop the front of the hips forward. Start to peel the ribs up, lift the heart, draw the shoulder blades back towards the hips. And then when you exhale, let that start from the tailbone too. So start by curling the tailbone towards the navel, pressing the lower ribs into the back side of the ribs, and allowing the chin and head to come down last, curling like they'll touch the tailbone under the body. And we'll just move in that way in time to our own breath. So the inhale curls the tailbone up, drops the lower ribs towards the mat, lifts the middle ribs, the shoulders, and the heart. Gaze turns up last. And exhale as you curl tailbone to navel and move through the upper back as you draw chin to chest. Just feeling out where that movement is happening for you, where it's sticky, where it feels good, and letting it be what it is. Take that one more time. Inhale and exhale. And then settle right back into your table. Turn your hands on. So press your fingertips into the mat. Press that first row of knuckles at the base of the fingers down and squeeze the thumb and the index finger together. Wrap the eyes of the elbows to face. Sometimes they go forward. Let them be parallel to one another. And then broaden the shoulders down the back. Pull the navel center in nice and strong. Extend the right foot back behind you. Press through the heel. Just get a nice stretch over the calf. And then on an exhale, let that knee move forward into the chest. Gaze in between the thumbs. Step the foot down. And we'll just begin by sinking the hips towards the heel. Starting to feel that front side of left hip flexor open up. These first few poses are really going to be with hips squared to the front of the mat. And we hear that a lot in classes, but what does that really mean? It means that we're trying to wrap the hips around so that the front of the hips, sometimes called the headlights, are facing the front edge of your mat. Now straighten the front leg, so right leg starts to move straight, right hip pulls back, and we'll pull the right toes off the mat, cinch the navel center in. We'll press down with the heel, squeeze the glutes here, turn the body on. One of the things that's really important for these poses to keep the hips from externally rotating is to squeeze the inner thighs so we don't pull one hip out of alignment. And then we'll bend the right knee once more, place the sole of the foot down onto the mat, pull the right knee into chest, lift the right foot, and then step the right knee down with the left. Reaffirm your grip, so ground down through the hands, eye of the elbows, face, shoulders, pull back. And we'll extend the left foot back. Ball of the foot plants, heel presses back, belly draws in. Be cognizant of whether you roll that left hip up, try to keep it down. And then squeeze inner thighs even here. Start to turn the glutes on to activate the legs. Big inhale, lift the left foot off the mat. Use the exhale to draw the knee in towards the chest. And then step the left foot down in between the thumbs. Start to sink the hips down. Squeeze inner thighs. And we just want to get a little movement, a little opening into that hip. So as we move through our warriors, we aren't doing it completely cold. Squeeze the glutes, turn them on, draw the inner thighs in. Press down with the fingers, start to straighten the left leg once more, moving towards our Ardha Hanumanasana, our half split. Peel the toes off the mat, pull the hip back, squeeze inner thighs. Broaden the chest, so roll the shoulders away from the ears. Find some space here. And then draw that left hip back so that the right hip wraps around. Again, trying to square our headlights to the front of the mat. Bend the left knee once more, roll the knee over the ankle, press down into the hands, pull the left knee into the chest, and then set it back. We'll tuck our toes, step our hands forward a half space, squeeze the fingertips into the palms, lift the knees, send the tailbone up and back, so it almost looks like you're a cat about to do a really nice stretch here. And then keeping the lift coming from the tailbone, start to straighten the legs. Notice the heels aren't down, that's okay. Bring the ears between the biceps, broaden the chest, so wrap the triceps, and then settle the heels down. Let them touch or let them hover. It's not a matter of how deep can it go. Remember, we're going to let it be what it is. And then gently start to walk the feet towards the hands. Bend the knees softly, curl chin towards the chest, and start to roll up one vertebra at a time. Starting with our warrior one, the arms are going to be engaged here. So let's inhale, draw the arms up, swim them back behind us, reach up, lift up. Interlace the fingers, press the palms towards the sky. Pull the belly in. The inclination is to flare the rib cage, but we want to zip everything up. Reach up, pull the shoulders down, and then lift the heart just a little bit, getting into the underarm. And then gently bring the hands to the base of the skull, fingers still interlaced, and now we'll flare the bottom behind us. Elbows go wide, and we'll lift the heart, start to stretch the skin and the fascia across the belly. And release the hands from behind the head, pull the tailbone back into the body. Inhale, reach up, lift up. And as you exhale, draw the thumbs down into your heart space, and we'll start with our warrior one. Keeping your right foot exactly where it is, press down with all four corners of the feet. Step the left foot back. As the left foot steps back, we'll want to turn the toes so that the toes point to that left corner of the mat. Pinky toe grounds down. And then we're going to take our left hand here. Notice front leg is straight, maybe a soft bend. And you want to rotate that hip around. As we rotate the hip around, we want to make sure that the back leg is stable. So sometimes we get some pain in our right knee or in our left knee. If that happens, we'll rotate onto the ball of the foot. This is where you're at today, and this is a safe place to be. Let it be here. Or if your knee is okay with that heel grounded and the hip wrapping around, that's brilliant. Stay here. We'll start to bring the tailbone towards the mat, and as the tailbone scoots down, the right knee starts to bend. We have this action of the hips moving towards one another. So right hip pulls back, left hip comes round, tailbone grounds down. We'll lift all 10 toes and then set them down nice and wide, give ourselves a nice firm base. And then we'll start to move into the center body. So hips from here down, everything is stable, continuing to squeeze inner thighs, ground down with toes. Even left toes are pressing into the mat strongly. And we'll take our hands to our rib cage and we'll follow that line with the hips. And now the rib cage is square to the front of the mat. So hip points are moving forward, chest is moving forward. Now some of us will stay here. This might be where we need to be. Hands will firm into the hips. We'll practice that action of turning the glutes on. It's really easy to lose the glutes here, but we need them active to stay grounded. If you're here and you're happy, stay here. Or maybe you want to explore the arm variation. So you can bring the arms up, forward, and overhead. They want to stack so that wrists, elbows, and shoulders are all in one line, but that chest is nice and broad. So sometimes we have the capacity to draw the arms in. We want them to be back, broad, and open. We'll reach through the fingers. So you always think of the fingers as being extensions of your energy line. So you want them to be really strong as you reach up. But you want space. So as the ears get hugged into, we lose that space through the throat. So we want to draw the shoulders down, giving ourselves room chin to chest. And then we just explore where we are here. So some of us are here reaching and the shoulders are getting a nice workout. We love it. Others of us may take this a little bit further. We draw the palms together, fingertips touch. We ground down through that front leg even more. Press the tailbone slightly forward towards the front heel, and then begin to lift the gaze so that now the gaze moves up towards the thumbs. Squeezing inner thighs, breathing. Gently drawing thumbs down into the heart space. We'll step the left foot up with the right and explore that on the left. So I'll face you this time so you get a slightly different view. Left foot will ground down into the front of the mat. Right foot's going to step down. It's not a big step, maybe 2.5, 3 feet for some of us. That'll help with the narrow hips to help bring them around. We'll get a soft bend in that left knee. Looking back at the right foot, right toes are now pointed towards the front right corner of our mat. When you take the heel of the right hand, press the hip around, help it move towards the front of the mat. As that moves, we'll take our left hand to our pelvic bowl, and our right heel of our hand will press down towards our tailbone, and we'll feel how that gentle rocking motion now pulls the low belly in, activates the hips, and then we move into our lunge. We bring the ribs around, that action of using the hands to help guide everything nicely, letting it be what it needs to be now. We'll pick up all 10 toes and settle them down on the mat on purpose. And then we'll begin to breathe into this space. So take hands to the hips at first. Notice what the hips are doing. Is that back knee okay? Does it feel uncomfortable? If it's talking to you, it's a good opportunity to come onto the ball of the foot. This will help you move the opening around the hips and keep the hips square for a nice firm foundation. If you're here and everything is feeling good, we'll move towards the arms. So cinch the hips together, pull the right hip around. Inhale, the arms start to move overhead. And as they move overhead, you look for that space, chin to chest, shoulders to ears. You might stay here. This is a really great place to work. It takes effort to be here. It's one of the hardest poses, truly. And then draw the hands together overhead if that seems like a good idea. Maybe press the tailbone slightly forward towards the left heel, lift the heart, look up at those thumbs. Breathe. Let it be okay to wobble, to shake, to enjoy. And then allow the thumbs to move down into the heart space. Step the right foot up to meet the left and shake and wiggle that out. So the next one's a little more cardiovascular, it's a little more dynamic. We'll come into our Warrior 3, our Virabhadrasana 3. It's a one-legged standing balance, so it can be a little intimidating. But if you take it in stages, it makes it a little bit easier to be here for longer periods of time. So we'll move back to the right leg, step the right foot center of your mat. Make sure you have enough room forward to extend your arms, enough room back to kick your leg back. And you'll ground into the right leg. Start by taking a soft bend in the right knee so that now the whole of the leg is active. You can feel the quads working. It's not a deep bend like a dip, and it's not locked out so that you have that banana shape. It's just a soft bend. You feel it move out of the joint and into the muscles. We'll take our hands to our hips. Our left foot is stepped back just about 2 paces right now. We don't need a lot of space here. We'll keep hands to our hips at first. Soft bend in that right knee, and we'll start to lean forward. And as you lean forward, you're going to pick up your heart as though you're moving towards an upward facing dog. You want that gentle lift. The chest and chin are separated. We'll come onto just the big toenail of that back foot. And this is a line. This is warrior three. If this is a lot of work in that right leg, stay here, work here. Draw the navel center in, broaden the chest, roll the shoulder blades down the back. Or maybe begin to press down a lot with that right big toe. And as the chest leans forward, the left leg becomes your counterbalance, and you lift it to come in line with the chest. Be okay with the wobble. Now there's some debate here whether you point or flex. It's up to you. Many teachers teach it different ways. I say as long as you're active and you're working, that's all that matters. Drop the left hip down so it's parallel to the floor. You'll know when that action happens because you'll feel it in the outer right leg. Some shaking will start to happen. You'll feel, whew, there it is. Pull your navel center in, and then maybe hands stay on hips, or you take this very active and you reach your arms forward, trying to press down a lot across the front arch of the right foot just behind the toes. Be okay with shaking, with breathing. Reach energy through the fingers, through the back of the foot. And then bend the right knee softly. Start to lift up as you bring the left foot down. We'll try that on the other side. So left leg will ground this time. Soft bend in the knee. Hips are first facing the front of the mat and eventually will come parallel to the floor. So the idea of the pose is to one day be perfectly symmetrical with the floor. I'm not there yet, but maybe one day. So we start by grounding down. You lift all 5 toes, set them wide, give yourself a really firm base. Bend the left knee just a little bit, turn on all the muscles of the left leg. Slide the right foot back, come onto just the big toenail, and this time we'll start with hands at heart center, just for a little different feeling. It's nice to move in differently. Tailbone is going to be an extension of the spine, so we don't want it pressing back, and we don't want it curling forward. We want one nice long line, tailbone to crown of the head. Hands in at heart center. Try to line the wrists and the elbows up so that you're firming into the center body. Bend the left knee just a little bit. And then again, this is Virabhadrasana 3. Warrior 3, stay here. Or you can start to elevate the right toes. Draw the chest down. Press back through the toes. Reach forward through the crown of the head as though there were gentle fingertips helping to guide the neck long. We don't want any creasing of the neck. We want those lines wide open. And then think about that right hip. Turn it down until the outer left hip turns on. You'll know, I promise, the second you're there. And then press the hands together. Be mindful to breathe here. It's easy to hold our breath in Warrior 3. It's a very challenging pose. And then if we did it on the other side, maybe extending fingertips forward, becoming a balancing capital T shape here. Breathe. Bend the left knee. Step the right foot down to meet the left. And then wiggle and shake that out because that is a really challenging pose. Let that all go. Whew. I'm sweaty, I don't know about y'all. So 2 more in that series of hips facing forward. We'll work into our pyramid pose, our Parsvartanasana. Feet will come together. We're going to take a small step back, just like we did in Warrior 3. So 2, maybe 3 feet. And then you pick your poison. So some of us will have feet a little bit wider. The wider your feet, the more stable your base. Seasoned practitioners, you'll likely have feet a little closer, maybe even heels in line with the toes. But for the sake of this, I'm going to go ahead and say be hips width. Give yourself a nice foundation. Get into the pose, not into the ego. Notice how when I stand, my tailbone points back. I want to work on pulling the tailbone under the body so that it's an extension of the spine. We'll square the hips once more. So remember, square means front of the hips in line with the front of the mat. And why do we do that? We do that to make space across the sacrum so that there's room for the low back and low body to move with ease. We don't want to jam all of that musculature right there in that huge space where all of these nerves are radiating. So drawing the hips square, squeezing the inner thighs, pulling the belly in. So it's almost like you're trying to move the pelvic bowl in to the navel center. So everything draws up. Shoulders will be back. We'll slide hands to our hips. I personally like to feel a little bit of energy here, so I like to inhale and lift my heart so that it feels like I'm pulling energy up out of my feet. And then keeping my hips square, I like to lead with my chin. So we start to hinge forward right at the hip flexors. You can even place a blanket here so that you feel yourself folding over that blanket. And then you come to a depth that's appropriate for you. So some of us, as we came down, we needed to take our hands down for balance. That's brilliant. You can take hands on either side of your foot, or more seasoned practitioners, you might keep hands onto your hips, drawing the shoulders back to broaden the chest. And then you come again to a depth that you can let be. So maybe your forehead comes to your knee. Maybe your chin comes to your shin. Maybe you're staying all the way up here because this fold is more than enough on those back hamstrings. Wherever you are, you're trying to keep the hips in line with one another. And a really nice way to do that is if you're all the way down, or even if you have blocks, and I should have grabbed blocks for this, but if you have blocks, you place them under your hand. Take your right hand and place it on your sacrum, that flat triangular bone towards the base of your spine. And you'll want to see, is it feel like my right hip is cocked up and out? Can I pull the hip back in, lengthen the spine, and bring it into alignment by picking the right hip up a little and drawing the left hip around a lot. Just feeling if the hand is flat or if it's off kilter, trying to level it out. And then you can take a bunch of different flavors here. So fingertips might reach forward as you get really deep into the belly of those right hamstrings. Or maybe you walk it back a little bit and take it into that left leg as well, fingertips reaching back. All the while being cognizant of leveling out the hips, drawing the inner lines of the thighs together, and trying to feel like you're moving the left foot to the right heel without actually moving it. Now we've been in these hamstrings for a long time, so slight bend in that right knee if it feels too deep, and then we'll crawl ourselves forward. So shift weight into the right leg, just step the left foot up with the right, maybe pedal out the legs a little bit, and then slowly roll up and we'll move to the other leg. So left foot stays down this time. Right foot takes a 2 to 3 foot step back. Hands to the hips, bringing the right hip round, left hip back. Bring the tailbone down in between the feet. So nice long spine all the way through the crown of the head. Navel is drawn in slightly. So we're not trying to pull everything shifting forward. We just want a nice center to stabilize the pose. Now, if you felt like that was a lot, I want you to keep your hands onto your hips. If you felt like you're a little more seasoned, you've been doing this for a while, you want to take hands overhead and test the waters of your balance, cross your thumbs, bring your hands into prayer. The right hip wraps around, all 10 toes grip them out on purpose. Inhale as you lift the heart, look up gently, make space between the chin and the chest, ears and the shoulders. And then right from those hip flexors, so stay out of the upper back. We love to round here. This is not thoracic spine opening. We are trying to open the hips and the hip flexors and the hamstrings. So we're diving forward, almost like we're moving into that warrior 3. Coming to a space that maybe we keep hands together and challenge our balance, or we separate the hands and work into our hips. Personally, I always take my hands apart because my hips are always askew. So I know that my left hip is dipping around. So I'm going to take my left hand to my left hip, roll the hip back, shift a little more weight into the front leg so I can inhale and lift to bring the right hip around, and then squeeze that into space, start to fold over that leg. Depending on how open hamstrings are, you might have a really nice bend in that left leg to support so that we're not pulling. It's really easy to get hurt in yoga. It's really easy to move too far too fast, and that's why we really want to just let things be. So when you find a place that is sensational but not painful, stick with sensation. And big inhale, fill up, lengthen, bend the left knee, step the right foot forward, wiggle all that out. And then finally, our last pose of this series, we'll move into our Eagle Garudasana. It's a really fun way to bind and find a little dynamic stretch throughout the entire body. So we start by bringing the feet about hips width apart. We'll sink the hips back like we're sitting into a chair, but not our deepest chair ever. We'll stay with this chair, so squeeze the inner thighs together like there's a block here. Ground down through the toes, expand the chest, broaden the arms, big inhale. As you exhale, wrap the right arm underneath the left. Hold on to the caps of the shoulders. This is an eagle bind. You can stay here. Or if you need a little more challenge, a little more opening, you can bring the backs of the hands together. Or you can even wrap the hands all the way around so the backs of the hands touch. You'll bring the elbows into the chest, but press the shoulders down. So elbows hug in, shoulders down. Navel center draws in, and we'll shift weight into our right leg. As the weight shifts right, we'll come onto the toes of the left. Use an inhale to fill the belly. And as you exhale, curl the knee into the elbows. So you want to get a nice compression of the low belly. And then cross the left leg over the right. So a really great place to practice here is toes connected to the earth, especially if this is a new pose for you. This is where you stay. Squeeze the inner thighs. Work on bringing the right hip around. Again, hips are square to the mat here. And just squeeze. We're squeezing the elbows together. We're squeezing the thighs together. We're rinsing the body, trying to cut off a little bit of circulation so new blood will rush in when we let go. And then maybe you stay here, or more seasoned practitioners, you might begin to wrap the toes around the calf. So you get that little wrap of the left leg all the way around, left toes peak. It's not an easy bind. If you're not here today, that's fine. Let it be where it is, how it is. And then maybe you sink a little bit deeper into your chair and you play with where you need the stretch. So some of us will lift the elbows, press the shoulders down, squeeze the forearms together, the whole body squeezing. Big inhale. As you exhale, unwrap the legs, step the left foot down. Unwrap the arms, inhale. It feels so good to expand into Urdhva Hastasana here, an upward salute. Let the whole body expand, maybe lift the heart. And then as you exhale, we'll go right into the other side. So we'll sink into the hips, bend the knees a little bit. We'll cross the left arm under the right this time, holding on to shoulders. And this side might be different, so maybe you stay right here, or you bring the backs of the hands together, or you bring the palms together. Settle the elbows in, squeeze the forearms, press the palms together, or press down with the hands into the shoulder caps, and then shift your weight left. As you do, come onto the toes of the right foot. You can even look down. Make sure that you can see your left toes. Your knee isn't completely over the toes. Big inhale, fill the body. And as you exhale, knee to elbows, crunch. Feel that squeeze. Allow the right leg to cross over the left, toes tap. I like to tell my beginner students, it's almost like a 2-year-old that has to go to the bathroom. Bouncing, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Weird analogy, I know, but if you're a mom, you totally get it. Squeeze. And then maybe wrap those toes around. So again, you're here, you're balanced. Perfect. If you need more, take more, but only take what you need, leave what you don't. Pull the right hip back around. So what happens is as we squeeze into that stretch, the right hip comes around. We want to pull it even. Hips are square, thighs are squeezing, legs are meshed into one another. Then you take it a little bit further, you might lift the elbows in line with the shoulders. Feel that stretch a little bit differently in the triceps. Take one more breath. And then let the exhale go. Inhale to unwind, unbind, reach up, lift up. And exhale, release, let that go. We'll come down, just a quick stretch to open up anything we might have irritated. We'll draw the hips down low. Extend the legs out. I like to spin all the meat out from underneath me. So just reach under, pull the muscle out of the way, and then begin to fold in. And whether that means that you lie flat or you sit straight up, you're letting it be what it needs to be. So in any yoga class, once you hit sensation, you've found your pose. There is no perfect way, no ideal way to practice, except for to listen to your body and figure out what it needs. So some days I can sit straight up and I know that I'm getting what I need. Some days I'll lie flat and know that my body is getting what I need. But most days I lie somewhere in between to find what's working. So here I feel the back lines of my legs opening. I feel the space across my kidneys opening. And I feel good. I'm happy here. And point your toes and flex your feet. Just move through the ankles a couple times. We'll lift. Draw the right knee into the chest. Hug it in. Squeeze it in. Then we'll step it over the left leg. Just a gentle twist here. Keep that left leg nice and strong. Flex the foot. Bring the left arm around the right leg. And then the right hand just settles behind you. Press the fingertips in. Use that to roll the shoulder back. Look over your right shoulder. Twist. And inhale, come back to center. We'll take the right foot to the inside of the left thigh. Shift our weight forward. So now we're going to bring our weight more towards the front of our sits bones and melt over our leg into our Janu Sirsasana A. And again, you can be seated straight up, or you could be folded in, or you need to be there for a couple of breaths. Inhale, let it be. And exhale, just surrender in. Curl chin to chest, roll up one vertebra at a time. Extend the right leg out long as you gather the left knee into your chest. Hug the right knee in, take the left hand behind, squeeze, twist, and open. Left hand firms down to look over that left shoulder. Breathe. If you do nothing else, breathe. Wrap back around to center. Let the left leg fall out. And then fold over that right leg. Again, Janu Sirsasana A. Or head to knee. Notice my head isn't to my knee. My head is extended forward. My foot is flexed because I'm taking what I need. Take what you need always. Slowly peel yourself away from that leg. Let's extend the left leg out long. Scoop the hips towards the center of the mat and start to roll down onto your back. Keep the knees bent. Let the knees fall side to side as you come down onto your back. Just massaging the fascia over the back of the legs. We'll take the arms into 90-degree bends, making the shape of a cactus as we do this. Next time they come to the right, just let them settle to the right. Let it be haphazard. It doesn't need to be in any particular shape. The knee doesn't have to touch. Just let it be. Let it go with gravity. Gather the knees back to center. Let them fall over to the left. Again, surrender into gravity. Let gravity do the work on the right leg. You've worked enough. Now it's time to just let it be, even more so than before. Inhale brings both knees to center and then grab them into the chest. Hug the shins here. Squeeze and pull. And then one full body extension. Stretch like you're just getting out of bed. Toes out in front, arms back behind. Stretch, smile, breathe. And then we'll settle towards the most important pose of any practice, our Shavasana, our corpse pose. Snuggle the shoulder blades into the spine to elevate the heart. Point the palms towards the sky. The toes rotate out. Start to fill the belly, and as you fill the belly, feel the body. Give rest to those places that feel cranky. Give extra attention to those spaces that are talking the loudest. Soften the bottom jaw. Release the press between the eyelids so that eyes are just gently closed. And we'll breathe here for a few breaths, honoring where we were, where we've been, and where we still get to travel. Breathe, and I'll call you back in a few moments. With your next inhale, just start to fill the body a little more completely. Inflate the belly a little bit more. Feel the rib cage expand, front to back, right to left, top to bottom. Reach through the toes. Let an inhale pull the fingers back behind you, stretching and opening like just waking up from a delicious afternoon rest. Bend one knee and then the other. Let the knees fall gently side to side. Let them fall to your favorite side. Use the feet to pour the whole body into a gentle fetal position. Press in with the top hand to lift yourself up to seated. Find an easy seat, whatever that means to you. Hands into heart center. Big inhale, fill up. Exhale, sigh it out, let it be. It is a pleasure and a privilege to get to share a sacred space with all of you. Namaste. Thank you, yogis. Hope to see you again soon.